We caught the Democrats red-handed. They cheated in 2016 and tried to steal your vote ever since. There was never collusion and they knew it. But Mike Flynn's still getting shafted. The Democrats play dirty and it's not going to stop. It'll go into the next election and after. This is the new age of modern political warfare, using national security powers for political espionage. Everyone's in on it. The deep state dirters you up and then destroys you with political prosecutors. It's all done in the dark so the public can't see it. Then they leak the spin to the media and it looks legit. So Republicans get slammed with stings, spies, wiretaps, and leaks without any evidence. And then they tell you it's just routine. They tell you it's about protecting the country. It's not about that. It's never been about that. It's about protecting their power. The Democrats got away with investigating Republicans and charging them with all these BS crimes. These are wicked tactics. Midnight raids, solitary confinement, bankrupting three-star generals, rigged juries, SWAT teams, doctored evidence, and foreign spies. They raided the president's lawyer's office. Think about that. And they still found nothing on Russia. Trump made a phone call and all hell broke loose. Could you imagine if he spied on Biden's campaign and locked up his advisors? I mean, you just can't trust these people with power. Biden says he knows nothing about any of it. That's another lie because he unmasked Mike Flynn himself. Joining me now, the host of the Ingraham Angle, Laura Ingraham. I just think these people are sociopaths. And I don't know what we're going to do to stop them besides beat them because they're just so ruthless. I mean, how do you deal with these people, Laura?
Yeah, Jesse, I think when you go back and you remember how absolutely floored the Democrats were after Trump won in November 2016. I mean, they had the fireworks ready for Hillary. They had chosen basically her entire cabinet. And so they were just gobsmacked by what had happened. And when you look at these unmasking requests, now we don't have the actual requests, which I really would like to see, but the sheer number of requests, altogether, I believe 50 requests, 39 officials across government. Some of them were, legitimate intel people, but most of them were just partisans. They were obviously looking for the second installment of the insurance policy to try to do something to counter what they knew was coming, which was someone who's going to drain the swamp and someone who was probably going to find out what they were up to the previous 8 years, which was not a whole lot of good.
Right. So they had to take him out or else he'd finger them for all the crimes they committed during the campaign. But do you even think it goes back farther than that? I'm just wondering because, remember the birth certificate thing with Trump and Obama? I mean, I feel like it's just personal. And I think you're right. I think they had a midlife crisis when he won because they all thought they were going to get jobs and Supreme Court picks and it was going to be a third Obama term and they couldn't come to grips with it. So they lost their minds and broke the law.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of both. I think you're right to point out the personal aspect of this. Remember, President Obama is used to getting worshipped. He was worshipped at Harvard Law School. He was treated like, the second coming as a first-term senator. He gives one speech at the DNC in 2004 about red state, blue state. Then he ends up being one of the most polarizing forces in American politics over his 8 years. So he doesn't, even though he's a cool cat and he's a smart guy, he doesn't like to be questioned. I mean, I guess no one who's president really likes to be questioned, but he really doesn't like to be questioned. And Trump got under his skin big time. And I think they all knew Trump was going to expose them. They just knew it. And they couldn't let that happen. Or at least they thought they could blunt the force. And so that's what put the political ambush in motion.
I'm wondering now, you talked about Barack Obama. What does this do to his legacy? Because right now, domestically, you got Obamacare. That's getting its, thing ripped out. You have the Iran deal. That's also ripped to shreds. And now you have this horrible, horrible espionage scandal. Looking back on this 50, 100 years from now, this is not going to be a president that's seen as a great president. This is a pretty scandalized, feckless guy, just if you look at the policy.
Well, I think when you think about today's historians, they're all pretty much left-wingers. There's not many historians who we can really count on to be objective. So who knows what will happen in 50 years. But I do say this, Jesse. If in November, Trump, after this horrific pandemic and all the carnage, economic carnage, human losses, all of it we've seen, if he manages to beat them again, then they'll still be around, but that will be a decapitation of progressivism and, frankly, another repudiation of the Obama legacy. They don't. So now they have a third bite of the apple right now, and I think they have some headwinds, but I don't think so.
Well, I mean, I am scared to see what happens when they lose. If they lose, when they lose, but that'll be scary. Laura, thanks so much for coming into Waters World. I always appreciate it.